In this video, I'll be walking you through the basics of lighting and how you can create the simple 3-point light setup inside of Blender. Without talking further, let's get started. Now, inside of Blender, there are only 3 types of lights that you really need to worry about, which is, if you press Shift A, go here to lighting, which is going to be the point light and the area light and the spotlight. Now, throughout your career, you're going to be mostly using an area light and a point light. The spotlight has a lot of uses, for example, creating God rays, but in this video, I'll be walking through the basics of lighting, and also I'll be walking you through how you can create a simple 3-point light setup. So, if you're new to Blender, you're going to realize, well, I added the lights, but nothing is happening. And the way you would see your preview lights is by going here to rendered mode, rendered view. This is going to show you a preview of the lights and how they're affecting the scene. So as you see, once we did it, nothing has happened. That's because the lighting have nothing to hit in order to reflect on. So if you press Shift A, Mesh and Plane, you're going to see, well, we have the lighting, and if we select it and press G and Z, you see now it affects it. Now, you can do the same things you do with your models with the lighting. For example, you could scale them, you could rotate them, and you could also change the color on them. So if you go here and go here to the color, you can make it blue, you can make it red, you can make it whatever color you want. And also you could change the power of the intensity of it. Also, you could change the shape here and make it a disc, for example. This is going to be very useful, especially for product visualization, where you want to create this like gradient effect. Now, this is honestly most of the things you need to know about lighting, but there's something else I'll show you before we get started on the 3-point light setup. So I'm gonna add a cylinder, and let's say that this is the model. By the way, I'm in EV, so it's gonna be a bit, you could say like this, but I'm gonna go switch now to cycles. So let's say that we have this area light and this area light put like this. What if I want to make this light affect the model, but I don't want it to affect the floor? So with the light selected, you're going to go here to Object, Shading, Light Linking, and you're going to create a new collection. Now, since we only want the light to affect the cylinder, you need to make sure you have the light selected. You're just going to go here and drag the cylinder to the collection, and now you see that the lighting only affects the cylinder, but it doesn't affect the floor. We could also drag in the plane, which is the floor, and you see it's going to affect it, and we can enable it and disable it from here. Besides this, let's get started on setting up the 3-point light setup. So I'm going to add a Suzanne model, which is going to be the one that we're going to be rendering. I'm going to scale it down and push it up like this, and I'm going to add subdivision on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create something called the backdrop. So this is a very simple but very used lighting setup, which is also by creating the backdrop. And we're going to select this edge in edit mode, extrude it up, and move it back a bit. We're going to select this edge, bevel it, and move it like this, and add more segments like this. And we're going to right click and shade smooth. Now let's actually get started with setting up the 3-point light setup. Now, if you go to rendered view, you're going to realize that there is a bit of lighting going on. And that's because if you go here to your scene, your world, you're going to realize that there's a color affecting it. You see, this is how it looks. We need to make sure this is completely black. Now, to add the lights, I'm going to go here and add an area light. And the first area light is going to be put in front of the model like this, and it's going to be rotated. So I want to go to top view, and I want to rotate it and put it somewhere like this and rotate it to look at the model. And we're going to duplicate it and rotate it again and do another one here. Then we're going to duplicate it one last time, rotate it and move it, for example, here on the back left. If you go here to rendered, you see this is how it looks. You see it captures all of the details of the Suzanne model, whilst also giving us a really good lighting effect. So if you make this black and make it, let's say, for example, 0.8 metallic, and let's add a camera. Go here and lock it. Put the scene, and do something like this. If you go to rendered, I'm actually gonna make the Susan model to be, for example, blue, like this. If you go back to the camera, you see this is how it looks. Now we need to add one final light, which is gonna be for the background. So what we could do is we could select one of these lights, duplicate them, rotate them like this, and we're gonna change this to be a disk, scale it down, and we're gonna make this color to be, for example, blue. And it's gonna create us this backdrop effect. Or additionally, we could just make it white so it matches the scene's aesthetics. And create it to be something like this. Now we could mess around with the intensity to get the result we want. So I believe 15 for all of them is gonna be the appropriate power. So now we have them all added. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually render this. So in order to render this, we're gonna go here, we're gonna change this to GP compute if you have it, noise threshold to be 0.25, and the max samples can be, for example, 100. And all you need to do now is press render and render image. This video is just to go over the basics of creating lights, how you can set up a simple lighting system like this, and also going through light linking. If you want to go through the advanced techniques, make sure to subscribe, as I will be dropping a video about this very soon. Besides this, see you inside of the next video.